And in part 3, today's message is called Let's Talk Money. It's everyone's least favorite subject. No one likes to talk about it. And when we do talk about it, we don't like to give details. Don't like to let people know how much we earn or how much we give away or where we invest it, or we just get a little bit awkward when it comes to money. But we want to help you with money. And this isn't a message asking you for money, but actually this is a message that will hopefully help you in turn manage your money better. And because money is this funny thing that we don't really want to talk about, we need to be careful when it comes to it, because we can be so secretive and we don't really want to talk about it. We don't want to get other people involved. When we come to finance, we all need financial guardrails. We need guardrails to help us in our life, not to be controlled by money, but to control our money. And money and what it promises us many different things. But money and what it promises is the chief competitor for mastery of our hearts. This is the biggest thing in our lives that will try and take hold, try and take control of our lives. So that's why we need to be careful when it comes to money, because so easily it can be the master of our hearts if we don't keep our lives and our finances in check. And if we don't keep it in check, that can lead us to unbridled desire or unbridled fear, because money can create desire in us. I want to buy, I want to earn, I want to get, I want to buy, I want to receive, I want to get, and it creates desire in us. But it also creates fear. I don't know how I'm going to pay that bill. I don't know how I'm going to invest in that. I'm not sure about the future. And it can cause one of these two feelings for us. But at the root of each of these is the same. And they each have the same root, and that root is greed. Greed is that we would have the desire, or we would control the fear. And if we could define greed, greed is the assumption it's all for my consumption. It's the assumption that, oh, I've got finances, so it's all for me. And it's all about what I can control, and it's all about what I want to do with my money. And these feelings that we have regarding finances is all about greed, because we've earned it, we've got it, it's in my possession, so it's all about me. And so often we can fall into habits of overspending and hoarding. And as we do so, we're living as if there is no God. Because as Christ followers, we believe God is our supplier. God is our helper. God is the one that provides for us. So as we overspend and as we hoard, we are living like we are our own God. We are our own king. We are our own master. And we think, well, I am. It's my life. I want to control it. But as Christ followers, we give control of our lives to God. We give our lives to Him because He created us. He knows us. He has a plan and purpose for us. So I want to give Him my life because He has a better plan for my life than even I do. And this isn't like us against God. God wants what's best for you. God doesn't want something from you. He wants something for you. He wants you to live life with freedom, with hope, with peace. And so often many of us don't live with that freedom or with peace. Why? Because finances are just killing us. They're binding us down. They're making us shrink and retreat, whereas God doesn't want anything from us. He actually wants the best for you. He actually wants to help you manage your finances. So the difficult question we're going to answer today is, do we have money, or does money have us? What a great question to ask. Whether we're a Christ follower or not, each and every one of us has money. Each and every one of us are following something. Each and every one of us has different amounts of love and control with our money. So does money have you, or do you have money? And we're going to answer this question by looking at a passage in Matthew's Gospel, chapter 6, verse 24 to 33. And this guy, Matthew, what a great name, was a tax collector. And he collected taxes from his own people. So I'm sure you're the same as me. We do not like paying tax. So Matthew was not a liked person by being a tax collector. But we see that Jesus met him and asked him to follow him. So he became a disciple of Jesus and followed Jesus. So Matthew has a background of finance and money and has a little bit of know-how when it comes to that. But Matthew wrote this letter because he wanted to let people know that Jesus is king. So to the Jewish people around him, he wanted them to know that Jesus was their king, that Jesus was the one that they thought about, that they read about, that they were looking forward to. But he also wants us to know as well that Jesus is king. Jesus is above it all. So even though finance and money may have a control of your life now, it doesn't always have to, because you can let Jesus be the king of your life and you can leave this place full of freedom. And we read in Matthew's gospel in verse 24, this is the words of Jesus. This is how Jesus starts in here. And he says, no one can serve two masters. Either you will hate one and love the other, or you will be devoted to one and despise the other. And I'm sure we've seen this in our lives, that we can't serve two masters. We can't serve two things at once because of differing opinions, because of different upbringing. Imagine trying to serve your wife and your mother. That's not a nice place to be. Like trying to, okay, I'll listen to my wife, I'll take her advice on board, and then your mother saying a different thing. You can't have two masters. You have to pick somebody to listen to. And if you're married and you live with your wife, listen to your wife. But what do we do with the mother? That's a whole different message in itself. What do we do with the mother and the wife? But we'll get to that in another series. But we can't serve two different masters. And this word masters is not the golf tournament. But this master, this idea of master in the Greek is kurios. And this word in the Greek, kurios, means supreme in authority. So we can't have two things in our life that are supreme in authority. Either one has to listen to the other, or they're taking us in two different directions. Maybe you've been involved in a team before and there's two managers, there's two leaders, there's two directors, and you've found that there's going to be times where they're bringing you in a different direction. Well, he said this, but she said that. So what, like, you're both the manager, like, where do we go? And it causes confusion. In every area of our lives, we need one master. Whether it's in a sporting club, you listen to the manager. If you're in a dance team, you listen to the choreographer. If you're in if you work, you listen to your boss. We're all putting one person in authority. One person has supreme authority. Your line manager might say something, but the person in supreme authority is the boss. And we see that in our lives. We can't have God and money in equal abilities. We can't have them both equal in our lives. One has to be supreme. So either we put money first or we put God first. And Jesus goes on in this verse 24 and says, no one can serve two masters. You cannot serve both God and money. How do we live when we want to have God first, but actually money's controlling us? Or what if we want to have one thing in our lives? Maybe you're not a Christ follower, where you don't want God to lead your lives, but what is in supreme authority in your life? Is it money? Is it the world? Is it relationships? Is it possessions? What is that thing in your life that is mastering you? Because for Jesus followers, the primary issue regarding money is mastery. Is it mastering your life, or are you mastering it? And there's two ways that we can see money. Either we're mastered by money, or we master your money. So either it controls you or you control it. And because the last few weeks we have had props, I thought we would have props this week. So our team are going to bring a nice table for me. It's not as big as the table last week with all the fruits. It's a little bit simpler because I'm a little bit simpler. But we can either be mastered by money or master our money. And maybe you've grown up and had a piggy bank. Anyone grown up with a piggy bank and you've saved your money in the piggy bank and you have to smash it and get it all out? So you hopefully have it. So each and every one of us have some money. And this is how I get paid. Is this the normal way to get paid? I just get it in a tub with loads of coins in it. And this is what I have to live off each and every month. So we get paid. This is the money that we have, whether it's from a job, whether it's from your parents, whatever it may be. We all are all given a content of money. So what do? We have money. So what do? We want to spend it. So this is our live jar. This is how we live. So we get our money, and we're like, okay, I've got money now. So what I want to do with it? Well, I want to look after myself, so I'll put that in there. And then I also want to make sure that I have nice things. So I'm going to pay for my phone bill. I want that in there. What other nice things do I want? I want to keep up appearances. So I want to get a new car. That's nice. I want to get a car. What else do I want? I want to pay for my gym membership. So I'll pay for my gym membership. And then we have to get our nails done, don't we? We have to keep on top of our nails, make sure our nails are looking good. So it's monthly. And then we get our hair done. Yep, okay. That takes 2 scoops. I know how much it takes for women to get their hair done. That's a lot of money. So what else do we want? We want to go on nights out with friends, so we want to spend that. We want to keep up with our clothes. We want to buy nice clothes for ourselves. What else have we got? Takeaway. We need to get our weekly spice bag, so we want to pay for our spice bag. And then, Disney Plus. That's a great one. I want to play Disney Plus and Netflix too. Because why have one when we can have them all, right? So this is what we do when we spend our money. And then we've spent it all, and then we get to realize we're like, okay, I should probably save. So we're like, okay, what I'll do, I'll be smart, okay. I'll take some of this and I will put it in there just in case. Just in case that something breaks or something happens, I'll put a little bit in here just so I'm fine. And we think that's the wise thing to do. Just put a tiny bit in here. But then there's a third jar. And it's our give jar. And often the lid's screwed on tight because we don't want to open this one very often. So it's a hard work to get it open, so we unscrew it. And then what do many of us do when it comes to giving? Let me see if we've got any spare change. So we look and we see if we've got any spare change down the sofa or anywhere. And we'll go, I'll give him that. And then if you go to America, it's expected of you to tip your waiter. But what do we do in Ireland? It's like, oh, we'll see. And then there's a tip. And then it's like, oh, I feel bad for them. There's a tip. Yeah, they don't need that. I'll put that in the savings. And that's how we live our lives. We want to spend it on the things that we want, the things that we think we require, the things that will bring us joy and satisfaction. And then because we're a little bit wise, we're like, okay, I'll save a little bit because I'm not a maniac. So I'll put a little bit in here. And then there's a few in here because I felt nice and I felt generous and I had some spare change, so I'll give to that. But if we live by this way, this is what it looks like to be mastered by money. That we live first, then we save, and then we give. In this order, this is what it looks like for money to master you. But what would it look like if we were able to rearrange this sequence of being mastered by money? That it's not live, then save, then give. But actually, the first step in mastering our money is that we save first. We think for a rainy day, so it's like, okay, maybe instead of having Netflix and Amazon Prime and Hulu and everything else going, we'll put a little bit away because I don't know when the car's going to break down. I don't know when the boiler's going to go. Then I've got kids, and they're going to have birthday parties, and they're going to be invited to birthday parties, and there's weddings coming up, and I'll have to buy for that, and Christmas is coming up. So I'll be wise, and instead of reacting, I'll save. Because I'll get it in the long term anyway. So why not just put some of that into here? So we save a little, and then we live on the rest of it, and then we'll just give whatever's left over. But I'd say if we want to learn to master our money, we save, then we give, and then we live. So actually, we give because we're generous. We give because we're giving back to God. And we love to bless other people because I'm not controlled by my money anymore. I master my money. So in order to master my money, I need to be generous. I need to give to other people. So I've got savings, I've got amount to give, and then I live on the rest. So I can get my nice things. I can make sure my nails are done. and they're looking good, and I've got my hair done, and I've got my Netflix account. But we've also got savings for a rainy day. But we also have this that saves us from being mastered by money, by giving it away. We're not trying to take control. If we were trying to take control of our lives and be mastered by money, why would I give that away? I would think, well, I'm going to put some of it here, and I'm going to put some of it there, and keep that as low as possible. But that's you trying to take control of your finances, that you're trying to save and you're trying to spend because you need control. You need to do it for yourself. So this is the first step in mastering your money, that actually we save, we give, and then we live on the rest. And there's some keys to financial independence. We want to be in a healthy position when it comes to money. None of us want to be stressing. None of us want to be worried about our money. And if you are, you're mad. But most of us don't want to be thinking 24/7 about our money. So here's some quick keys to financial independence. The first thing is independence from a belief that life equals stuff. You don't need stuff to have a fulfilled life. You don't need to have stuff to find fulfillment. You don't need to have stuff to be happy. That is what the world is trying to sell you. The world is trying to sell you a lie that if you get more stuff, then life is more fulfilled. Life is more happy. And that's what they're trying to do. And like, okay, just spend on you, buy the newest makeup. And that's why we have so many influencers now, because influencers are saying, buy this. Not many influencers are saying, give away. Not many influencers are saying, save. They're saying, spend. Buy this nice new product. Even though it's pretty much the same as the old one, it's got an extra inch on the screen. It's got a button that you can't see anymore. It's hidden, and it's like technology is mad. Like, do you remember when iPhones actually used to change? And now it's like you've got an extra megapixel in your camera. And you're like, I need to buy it. I need that extra megapixel in my life. It's 0.03 seconds quicker opening up your apps. And you're like, I need that in my life. Because if not, how would I ever keep up? I'm going to lose so much time if I don't get the newest item. So if we want to be free financially, we need to learn that we do not need to get stuff to have a fulfilled life. Another way to get independence from this idea of money mastering you is this: independence from a lifestyle that regulates God to emergencies. And so often, many of us, we try and spend and we try and live, and then because we've tried to live so much, and then we've drained our savings, and then something comes up, then we're like, God, can you fill this up for me? And we only turn to God when this is empty. When it's like, I didn't look after my finances, I overspent, I have no budget in place, and I need God now. And many of us do that, and this isn't just people who don't follow Jesus. Christ followers, we do this too. We turn to God when it's an emergency. We turn to God when we don't know where else to turn to. So instead of being a first response, He's a last resort in our lives. And we only turn to God when it's an emergency. But why not turn to God first? Why would He not be our first response? God, I give this to you first. You are first in my life. I'm not controlled by money because I have the freedom and the joy of giving it away. So no longer do I need to control it myself. No longer do I need you to just fill my bucket for me. But actually, I trust you. Not when I need to, not when this is empty and I need all the help I can get, but I trust you always. So be independent. Don't leave God to just emergencies. And the last one, independence from a life independent of God. Trying to get God out of the equation. And if you're not a Christ follower, today I want to invite you into a relationship with God, because God wants to give you a blessed life. God wants you to receive hope and joy and freedom. And the world is telling us we find it in finances. We find it in living. We find it in controlling our own lives and doing whatever we want to do. But actually, I believe, and I've experienced, and many of us have experienced in here today, that actually independence from God is not what we're looking for. We want to be dependent on Him. We want to give to Him. We want to love on Him because we receive so much more in return. And as we think about all the things that we can earn and all the things that we can control in our lives, we love stuff. We love getting stuff. We love earning stuff. We love buying stuff. But if we're not careful with our guardrails, if we're not careful with our budgeting, well, then that can be turned upside down, because we want you to own your stuff and not to be owned by your stuff. Not to be owned by, oh, I need this, or I'm slave to this, or I couldn't live without this. Actually, you can own your stuff and not be owned by your stuff. For the rest of our lives, unfortunately, money will compete for first place. Money is going to keep popping up in our lives because we need it to get through our day-to-day. So money is always going to compete in our lives for first place. So if we have those guardrails in place, this is going to help us live a life that doesn't have money in control of us. But we want to go one step forward. Instead of putting it in save, then give, then live. If you really want to master your money, see how the jar's hesitant to even put it in the giving pot. So we want to add more. We want to give because money has no control of me. If money controlled me, I would want to keep it. I would want to hoard it. I would want to collect it. I would want to invest it. I would want to get it in, but yet I want to give it. So we put giving first, and then what do? We save. We're wise with our choices. We're wise with our money. We're wise with our savings, and then we spend whatever's left. This is the true way to master your money, that actually we give first, out of our best. We don't know what the month's going to entail. We don't know what's going to come up, but we trust God. We give first. Then we save because we're wise. And then we live on what is left. And maybe you're worrying, you're thinking, well, if I keep putting stuff into here, and if I keep putting more into here, well, then what am I going to live on? And as Matthew was writing this letter, they had the same thought. In verse 31, it says this: so don't worry, saying, what shall we eat? What should we drink? What should we wear? They had the same worry. Well, if I'm giving a lot of it away, and then I'm saving some of it, and then I live on the rest, well, where's my food going to come from? Where are my needs going to be met from? Where am I going to get the answers to all these questions? And we see this lived out in each and every one of our lives, that when we fear, we hoard. When we don't know where our money's going to come from, what we're going to spend it on, what's going to come, we think, well, I'm going to keep it. So I'll just, it's safer in here than giving it away. So when we fear, I don't know where this money's going to come from, we like to dip into this. And savings are good. This is what the savings are for, to help us when things come our way. But it's not to hoard because we're fearful. It's not to keep to ourselves because we close our hands and our hearts. I was going to give this the heart for the house, but what if that happens? What if the car breaks down? What if? And we create scenarios in our heads, and we talk ourselves out of giving, and because of fear, we take back what we were going to give. And that's why we need to keep things in this order to help us master our money. Because if we give away and then we save some and then we live on what's left, where are we going to find our clothes and our needs met? But Matthew goes on in verse 32 and says, for the pagans run after all these things. They run after the clothing. They run after the food. They run after all these answers of how are we going to fulfill our needs. And then it says, and your heavenly Father knows that you need them. God knows your needs. God knows what you need to live on. God knows where your food is going to come from. God knows where your provision is going to come from. But all he is asking is, will you trust me with your money? Because when we try and earn it, we're trying to like, okay, well, will God come through? I'm not sure. So what I'll do is I'll put that in there. And yeah, I'll add some in here. Because I'm not sure if God will come through. And then you're doubting yourself. And then it's like, actually, do you know what? I'll get a bit more in there. And I'll get a bit more in there. Because it's my money and I'm not sure what's going to happen. I'm not sure. So let's just put that in there. And this is how we end up living our lives, because we think, oh, where's this going to come from? How am I going to pay for that bill? So instead of trusting God, we trust ourselves. And we try and put our money, and it's like, okay, I think we should put it here, and I want to live, and I want to have fun, and then I'll put some in savings, but give it away. Well, if I give it away, how can I control it? How can I be safe? Your Heavenly Father knows. Your Heavenly Father knows what you need. So as we give into here, as we add into this bucket, He is going to make sure this bucket is okay. He's going to make sure that everything we need is met. And that is my story. I know that any time that I've had a need, God has met it. And this isn't, oh, if I give to God, God gives back to me. If I give Him a $5, I'll get a $10. It is not that. God meets my need in many different ways. Might be financially, might be bringing the right person beside me, it might be giving me an opportunity, but God meets my needs. And what's so sad is that there might be some Christians in the room that have never experienced that before. You've never experienced God coming through when you need Him, because you've tried to control everything your own way. That you've tried to, what should be meant for God and what should be meant for others, you've taken it on yourself, because I'll sort it out. I've got my budget and I'll budget my way and I'll spend it my way. But you don't have a story of how God has come through and said, even though you don't have enough, even though you might need an extra few pound in here, miraculously, God provides it. And I want you to have that testimony. I want you to have that story of, I gave and it was amazing and I love it and I'm cheerful and I'm joyful and God came through anyway. Yes, I could meet my own needs this way, but God has called me to be a generous person. God has called me a person who should give. So I'm going to trust Him with what I need. I'm going to trust Him with what I live on. I'm going to save, but I'm also going to give first. Then I'm going to save, and then I'll live on what's next. So I want to encourage you today. God knows. God knows exactly what you need. And then there's this turning point in the passage, and it says in verse 33, but. So they're worried, they're not sure what's happening, and it's like, well, if I put all this money here, if I instead of spending it, I put it in here and give it away, and I save some and I give it away, like, where's my needs going to be met? But at this point he says, but, he's saying, so instead of worrying, instead of hoarding, instead of consuming, instead of thinking about how am I going to get through life, these two pivotal words that are so powerful but could be difficult to live out in your life. He says this, but instead of these things, seek first. Seek first. What are we seeking first? What do we need to reprioritize? What do we need to rearrange? What do we need to reorder in our lives? He says, what should we seek first? It says we should seek first His kingdom and His righteousness. This word righteousness is just God's characteristics. We should seek to be more like Him. So we should seek His kingdom and we should seek to be more like Him. If we were seeking our kingdom is, Matthew, you earned it, you get to keep it. Matthew, you deserve it, you're good. You want to watch Netflix and Amazon Prime and Disney Plus at the same time. You deserve it. You do it. And that is what my kingdom says. That is what you say. That is what the world tells us. You earned it. You deserve it. Your money, your way. But then Jesus is saying, seek first His kingdom and His righteousness. His kingdom is in others first, me second. So instead of me spending, it's others first. So it's to give to others. It's our tithe and it's our offering. So I'm going to give first and then I'll live on what's left. And the verse in its entirety says this, but seek first His kingdom and His righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. So we can try and control it and we can get it our way, or we can trust God and He will give it to us as well. God will meet our need. God will provide. God is good. And I want you to have this story, this testimony That God gave you what you need. That when you didn't feel like you had enough, God gave you what you need. As you can tell from my accent, I'm originally from Belfast. And I felt God say, move down here, move down to Dublin, and take everything and just come to Lighthouse Church and be a part of what Lighthouse are doing. But I had a full-time job that paid me. And I decided to leave that and just to come to Lighthouse Church and to volunteer full-time. Volunteers don't get paid. So I went from a full-time paid job, and God said, move. So that meant there was very little to live on. So what do I do? It's a bit mad, it's a bit crazy. But because God said it, I sought him first, and then what? These things will be given to you as well. So out of being wise with money, there was a little bit of savings there, so I could dip into savings. And then there was other people who were generous, and they gave to me. And then there was the right person at the right time came into my life and said, here's a house. It's a lot cheaper than market value, and you can stay here. And then that house, we lived there for a year. The landlord wanted it back. Then we had to move in with friends for 4 months. That was fun. We were friends at the start. Thankfully, we are still friends today. And then, again, someone came into our lives that said, hey, I have a house. It's not in the market yet. Do you want to see it? And because we had been faithful to God in our giving, because we'd been wise, we were able to live on essentially nothing. But God met our need every single time. And if you're a Christ follower in here, because I had good discipline in my giving, because I had good discipline in my saving, because I had good discipline on living on what was left, I was able to take a step of faith. Imagine if it was our finances that stopped us taking a step of faith. Because either we're focused on what we need, or because we haven't been wise and in our savings, or because we haven't honored God in our tithes and in our offerings. But because I was diligent in these things, I was able to take a step of faith and follow God because he had planned my steps first. So I want to invite each and every one of you to put God first in your life and let your finances act as evidence of devotion to the God's other first kingdom. This passage, seek first, isn't just about finances. It's about our heart. It's about our lives. It's about our attitudes. It's about to seek God in everything. But in this aspect, because finances are always going to be in battle to master our lives, we want to focus on this idea today. If we put God first, then giving is just an evidence of our devotion to God. It isn't manipulation. It isn't because we have to, but it's out of pure devotion. When I got married, it didn't say in the ceremony, I didn't promise to buy her nice things. Didn't promise to give my wife stuff. But why do I do that? Because of my love for her. I'm not forced into having to buy my wife flowers, and I'm not forced to buy my wife nice things, but because of my love for her, I do it. And it's the same with our relationship with God. God isn't, you need to do this, and you need to do that, and you need to, but it's because of my love for him that I want to, I get to, I love to, I'm cheerful to, I love the opportunity to give. Just like I love my wife and I love to give to her. As a Christ follower, I put him first. And the evidence of my devotion to him is how I trust him with my giving. And as I trust God with my giving, he will take care of you. As we seek first his kingdom, we're told that all these things will be added to us. He will see us through. And I love this quote by R.G. Letourme, who's an inventor and businessman. He says, I shovel out the money and God shovels it back, but God has a bigger shovel. As I try and give to God, as I try to be generous, if I try to give to others, I can give so much, but yet my story is God has given me more time and time and time again. And I pray that that's your story, that as you've given and been faithful to God, that God has been faithful to you, that you have testimony after testimony, how God has shown up in your life and in your finances. So church, Would you honor God by returning the tithe and be generous by going above and beyond in your offerings? Again, if you're not a Christ follower, none of this applies to you. This will be helpful to you. You'll be able to budget better. You'll be offered to not be mastered by money. But Christ followers, we need to honor God by returning the tithe and be generous by going above and beyond in our offerings. So as we close, here's 3 quick takeaways. 3 things that we can implement in our life to not just be mastered by money, but to master our money. The first is give. Pick a percentage. Give it first. Give it to a church that you trust that's making a difference in your life and in the community. This doesn't have to be this church. There is no blessing tied to giving to Lighthouse Church, but give to a church. If you go to another church, give to that church. If you don't call Lighthouse home, we don't want you to give to us. But if you feel like Lighthouse blesses you and you call this place home and you want to partner with us and see God do incredible things, pick a percentage. And I know budgeting's hard and money might be tight by now, but maybe pick 1%. And then we go on this journey of trying to get up to this 10% to give God, return the tithe. But there's some in here, and you can give the 10%. You have it in margin in your life. You call Lighthouse home, you're a Christ follower, but yet you still want to have a grasp on that. You see it more as savings. Oh, I'll keep it so I can control it. But actually, God is asking you to return the tithe to Him, to trust Him with your giving. And what does He say? As we seek first, all these things will be added. All these things that we can't explain, all the things that we need in our lives, He will add to us. So each and every one of us, if you're not a Christ follower, you can give to non-profits that reflect your passions or concerns. So we're not asking to give to us, but I want to ask you to give to something that you're concerned about. Not because we would receive, but actually that you would not be mastered by your money. This isn't about us receiving, but actually from you receiving freedom today. So for each of us, we have the choice to be generous. Be generous with our money, and we can give today. So as we are generous and we give and we put that first, the second takeaway is to save. It's wise. It's smart. We need to prepare for the future. I have a child coming. I've got a car that might blow up. I've got house bills that might come unexpectedly. We need to prepare for our future. So it's wise for each of us to save. We need to prepare for the future because none of us know what the future holds. So to have good budgeting in place, to be saving is wise. And the third takeaway is live. Live on and consume the rest. Not live on and consume the best. Not consume everything and it's my money, I earned it. But actually to be wise in our saving, to be wise and generous in our giving, and just live on the rest. And if you're struggling, we don't take from here. I'll give a little bit less because I need. Or actually, it belongs to God, but this is another good cause, so I'll take it out of this. And we sometimes take out of this pot that belongs to God in order to give to, my family need it, so I'll take it out of that pot. And compassion's good, so I'll take it out of this pot. But actually, this pot is for God. So if I'm going to go and give above and beyond, it's from the rest. I'm going to give the heart for the house. I'm going to support my family out of here. I'm going to give to compassion out of here and give God what is His. So we live on the rest, not on the best. So if you want to master your money, we give, we save, and we live. And this is something that you can start straight away, looking at your finances and say, firstly, am I giving? Am I being wise? Am I saving? Am I living on the rest? But we want to help you with the practicalities of that. There's going to be a QR code behind me. And there's this incredible organization called Financial Peace University. And what they do is they help you budget, they help you organize your finances, and they help you in all these things. They've got 7 baby steps. They help you in the practicalities of how do we give, how do we save, how do we live. And this QR code is just an interest form. We're going to run this as a small group in our next Connect group season after Easter. So in May and June, we'll run a small group, and it'll all be based on Financial Peace University, which will help us organize our lives. I don't want you to be mastered by your money. I want you to master your money. So if you're trying to figure all this out, I don't even know where to start. How would I be able to even create a pot for this and trust God with that and do this? This will help you in the long run. So if you're interested, scan the QR code. It'll ask for your name, your email, possibly your phone number, and we will get in contact with you to let you know the details of that group. But that's how you guard against greed. That as we are giving first, saving second, and then living on the rest, that's how we guard against greed. Because greed says, spend it all, you earned it, it's your life. But we don't want to be greedy people. We want to be known as a generous people who give, who save, and then live. And that's how you can ensure you have money, but money doesn't have you. I want to invite you all to stand as we close. And our prayer for each of us today, Christ follower or not, is that you would leave this place experiencing freedom, experiencing all that God has for you. But as we finish, I want to end with this popular verse that many of you may know, and it's found in John 3:16. And it says this, "For God so loved the world that he gave." God so loved us. God so loved you. God so loved me that he gave. As Christ followers, this is why we do it. Because God first gave to us. In the light of what he's given to me, this is easy to give back to him. But if you're not a Christ follower in here, maybe you've never heard this before, that God gave his everything so that you would experience life. He gave his one and only Son, that if you believe in him, you shall not perish but have eternal, everlasting, abundant life. God gave so that you would receive freedom, that you would receive hope, that you would receive joy, and that you would receive this abundant life that he promises. So as we close today, my prayer for you is that you would experience freedom, that you would not be mastered by money, but you would master it, and that you would give your all. Well, if you're a Christ follower already, to give your all to him because he gave it all for you. And maybe today you're not a Christ follower, that you would accept this invitation that Jesus gives you today, that he gave us all for you, and all he wants is a relationship with you.